Namaste, hello, once again, welcome to PM eVidya channel number 8. All the class 8 students. Social science is very interesting and there's a lot which you can learn. There are experiments, there are researches and there are project works. This is what we are going to discuss in this particular session. Our topic is conducting project work in social studies and this is the second part of this session. If you have any questions, if you have done some research, you want to share your experiences, your results, your conclusions or your whatever you went throughout your project, then please share it with us on ciet.kishoremanch@gmail.com. All the class 8 students, I am sure you are going to enjoy and let's meet our experts. We have with us Mrs. Deepika Khandelwal. Welcome ma'am.
Hello. Hi everybody.
Hello ma'am. Ma'am is a geography teacher, faculty from Purna Learning Center, Bangalore. And well, not only her, we have got one more expert and she is Miss Rachita Shah. Welcome ma'am.
Hello, good afternoon everyone.
Good afternoon to you too ma'am. She is a history teacher as well as a language teacher from again Purna Learning Center, Bangalore. So we are going to discuss the project work. Just I'll take one more minute and if you have any questions, you can also share it with us on our YouTube channel, which is NCERT official. Write your questions in the live chat box and send it to us. Without wasting any more time, and before beginning the second part of this session, I would request Deepika ma'am to please sum up the first part which you did 2 weeks ago and you explained everything to our students. Just sum that up very briefly to our students.
Sure. Thanks, Amir. Yeah, so all of us do remember that 2 weeks back we talked about what project work is, what are the various kinds of project work. And then I had shared our experience in our school of running 2 sample projects. And one was about investigating the BBMP park facility and the other one was conducting survey in village that was also located close to our school. So both these projects were field-based. Today, I and Rachita are going to share our experience with an indoor project. So it's a sample project 3 named Combined History and Geography Project on Silk Route. This project was conducted recently by us in our school under COVID situation. So considering the world geography we had covered in 6th to 8th grade and ancient India in history, an interdisciplinary approach, this project was conceived. But why project on Silk Route? Rachita will tell us.
Okay, so why the choice of this topic? Essentially, when you think about Silk Route, you think about Silk Route as a one single route, but it's actually a vast network of routes. And on this route, you carry not only merchandise and precious commodities, so we think about it only as a commercial route, but there was actually also an exchange of knowledge, ideas, beliefs, culture. There was religion which traveled on this route, art and literature traveled down this route, crafts and technologies traveled down this route, which led to the contribution to different civilizations and the exchange of culture in different civilizations. And of course, when all this travels, disease also travels down this route. So we think of globalization in terms of, the contemporary times, the modern times, but that's not true. We wanted to drive home the point to the students that globalization was there even in the ancient times. And the fact that the Silk Road had many, many networks, many routes, was also because of the geopolitical changes which led to the shifting of the routes. Therefore, this one topic became an ideal combination for an interdisciplinary project, and that's why we chose this. So coming to the learning objectives of this Silk Route, I've already explained to you what concepts we wanted the children to apply and some of the skills that we wanted them to learn. Other than map reading, gathering data, was also to analyze the situation as a trader and a traveler in those times, not in the current times, and accordingly make decisions for the questions that we have asked them. Yeah. So how and the details of the project, how it was implemented, all that Deepika will tell you.
Thanks, Rachita. So the main features of this project which you did was it involved group work and individual work Of course, it was an indoor project. And then we had actually, in this particular case, we had group children in a comparable skill level and which were compatible with each other. This was it was put up as an open book exam, which had 2 days extended time, 2 days, and 1 extra day was given on request. So this were the main features of this, and we had differentiated scaffolding provided and assessment provided. It was based on particular areas of research which we did, and the sites are mentioned here for you. Now I would take you through the handouts which were released to the children. So this was the main thing was the instructions for this project, which involved these particular features, and it was very clearly brought out the children to start this project with the group work with handout 2, and along with that they would be doing the tasks, and the group work were to be discussed and collectively answered. That was one critical point we had asked them. That will bring in lot of discussions, interpretations, and negotiation between the kids. Then we had this handout 2, which was given as a reading material for the group work. So here if you see the silk route, as Rachita brought out, is a combination network of routes, including the sea as well as the land route. But for this project, we particularly concentrated on the northern route, this part, from the east to the west, this thing, east to west. This particular portion was concentrated. And then we had this handout 3, which was the task for the group work. So this brought out a lot of map work and a lot of understanding as a trader, as a traveler in this route. So these were the questions which are brought out for kids to answer. They could choose 7 out of 10, but we said it will be really great if they can answer all the 10. We took up these answers when we show children's work. Then there was handout 4, which was the map given to them to complete the tasks A and B of the group work, wherein they had to really, this was the cities, the dots were indicated as location of the cities along the Silk Route, entire route, not just the northern route, quite many cities were covered here. And they had to choose particular cities which will fall in northern route, and they had to map up. And they also had to show here, where are the major mountain ranges, plateaus, deserts, the rivers which come across in this route, if they are traversing through that. Then we had, this was the individual work. Individual work section had a handout 5, which included the reading material, wherein they could get through all the cities, which are particularly major all cities, and then northern road. And it was indicated what are the goods mainly made there, what are the goods in demand, and which particular feature the city is known for. So that this will help them to decide which city they would like to belong to, what they want to trade, etc. But that was not enough. They also needed to know what were the geographical conditions in those cities, in that area. So we had brought out here very clearly that what would be the temperature in this minimum and maximum temperature, what is the rainfall out there like, so it's quite like a desert, what altitude it is in. So that, when they're changing altitude from one place to another place, while moving while traveling in the Silk Route, they really need to consider mode of transport and various other things, the challenges they would face. So like that, different cities were covered here. You could see here, they could see it's an oasis, Dunahang. Then you have Samarkand, which is a very known trader place. Then this is the Taklamangan desert, which they will cross, the severe winds. Then we had given them this idea of Bactrian camel for cold deserts and Arabian camel for cold desert. So they could use these mode of transports. And so Fergana Valley horses were very popular. Then these were the tasks which they had to go through for the individual work. So this detail, even Rachita will take it up with the children's work.
Okay.
Now here I would like to bring out some of the sample group work done by children for mapping the cities, plateau, mountain ranges in this. So they have here, you would see some sample work done by children wherein they bring under the regular legend and the list of the cities marked on the map. Then we had sample work done for atlas reading. annual rainfall, rivers and lakes they came across in this. You would see here the amount, the rainfall, one of the question was, what are the maximum rainfall and the least rainfall in this route? So they brought out here very clearly. Then what are the rivers they will cross through? What are the plateaus which they will come across? What are the mountain ranges? And what are the major rivers which are fed by the Tibetan glacier? Which rivers which flow into the lower side plains in China as well as in India? So those are some of the works by children. And now Rachita will take you up to the work done by children in the section 2, the individual work.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Deepika. So this is all individual work that the students had to do. One of the questions asked was, what was the need for a sea route when there was already one Silk Route over there? So why had the Europeans explored the sea route? So here one child has, of course, spoken about the fact that ships can carry more goods than when you travel in caravans, or the fact that the sea route seemed safer than the land route. But the interesting thing is, he brings out the fact that the Ottomans did not let traders trade through their kingdom, and therefore the Europeans needed a sea route. Now, this is an example of the first concept that I spoke about in the first slide, which is the geopolitical aspect of it. So yes, of course, the geographical aspects are there, but he's also brought out the political aspect of the difficulties and challenges on the Silk Route. Going on to the next question. So here we are asked the children, which city would you like to belong to? And they had to give a reason for that. You can't just choose anything. So one child reasoned that he would like to live in Xi'an because the river is there close by, and therefore the land will be fertile and suitable for agriculture. The other child went beyond the information already given to him, and he decided to think about it that his grandfather had migrated to Duhang years earlier, and therefore he was also living in Duhang. His grandfather was trading in camels, and so he also had to trade in camels. And he's also found out this interesting bit where he says that Duhang means the singing sand mountains. Now this is not information given by us, but this is the extra initiative that the student has taken. The next question is about what kind of goods they would exchange and trade in. So again, another child has tried to find out the difference between a Bactrian camel and an Arabian camel, and then has decided he would like to trade in the Bactrian camel because with its two humps, it can actually adapt better to the different conditions that are there, and then it can store more water. Okay. The last sample that I would like to show you, which is the next one, is of course the kind of difficulties that you would face in this route and how you would overcome them as a trader or a traveler of the Silk Route. So after having done the whole work in geography and having mapped out the different physical features on the map, the students realized that the landscape was not very easy to travel. It was rugged, there were cold winds, the conditions were harsh, and at the same time, because the distance between the cities is more, you have to carry enough food and water for themselves and for the camels. So some of the things that they said that they would do to overcome would be to restock food and water in every city and town, or to travel in groups and caravans, carry weapons, and thereby try and ensure some safety and security. So coming to the question of now, how did we evaluate this project? So as you can see, our questions are based on the learning objectives. So we are evaluating them on whatever our learning objectives are. And the assessment of their written work is done by us based on a rubric. So what a rubric looks like, that's on the next slide. So this is what a rubric essentially looks like, where we decide the parameters along which the child will be graded. So the parameters for this particular project were information gathering and using it, map reading and marking the map correctly, analysis, decision making and problem solving based on all the information that they have gathered. And of course, we wanted to also look at the engagement and efforts that the child was putting in for the independent work that was there. And as you can see, the scale is starting from 1 point and goes up to 4 points. So for that also the details are given there when you mark what kind of answers are marked 4, 3, 2 or 1. So that's what a rubric looks like. At the same time, what we also did is we did not only assess the children, we also assessed our own selves. We had a self-assessment for teachers, for the two of us, where we said we are going to assess how effective this project was in aiding the learning of the children. And again, we have given ourselves points right from 1 till 4. So then we know what we need to change next time. Yeah. So that is as far as the assessment of Silk Route project is concerned. For the other two projects which were done earlier, Deepika will walk you through that assessment.
Yeah. Thanks, Deepika. Yeah, so we are recalling again the sample project 1, which we did for investigating BBA Park facility. So one of the images from that project. So this was the assessment we had was through mainly the input to this assessment was the written responses for the children for those open-ended questions which we had in the worksheet, then one-to-one interaction with the teachers, and the post-visit group discussion which we had. So the children, so one of the two main things here were their observation, data collection from these primary sources which they were seeing in front of them, the park, the unusual features of the park, and then how do they analyze it? How do they analyze it? What were the need for the questions which they asked us in interaction, and even during the post-visit group discussion in the class. And they had to build a hypothesis on what exactly was it. Why was that park located in a way that it was not open to public and still located in a remote place? And so those were the various points which were given 1, 2, 3, 4 based on this rubrics. Then we would take up this project 2, which we had the survey of Mitiginelli village and the dump yard. So in this case, it was a little elaborate project wherein we had input taken from a lot of oral input had come from the children for the questionnaire making. So the questionnaire was prepared by children, facilitated by the teachers. So the children had literally few of them sat on the computer, they worked on it, others were sharing their experience of primary research. So they had done the secondary research. So initially they started with the secondary research. So secondary research they had done about the village, and they built the questionnaire based on what they had known about the village from the internet sources, from the news, from the protest which was carried in the village. And then they made the questionnaire, they took the questionnaire to the various primary, to the village, they conducted the survey, then the data came back, the data group discussion in the class, analysis was done, and then post-survey they did the writing of the letter to authority. So this is how we had conducted the assessment.
Okay.
So with this, yeah.
Yes, ma'am, we are almost about to end the session. So let's do a quick question and answer round. Will that be okay?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So, ma'am, you mentioned that there were certain challenges you faced, there were some hurdles, and you overcome them. So, how was the overall experience? If I talk about in comparison to the project works you did pro-COVID, and now that we are dealing with the pandemic, was it different? Was it more challenging? Was it, how was it exactly?
Yes, certainly. In fact, that's what we were saying. This, when we did the field study, it was a complete, no fear of COVID. No one even knew this was going to be happening. Right. So it was a very different experience. But this, during this COVID time project, of course, therefore it was indoor. And therefore, that kind of project like Silk Route indoor project could lend to this kind of online work. But still, we had a lot of challenges with respect to problem of internet connectivity, group work challenges. Children were not able to read the atlas very clearly and still coordinate with each other. So parents had to arrange for color prints. So coordination was a big challenge. But now I think this kind of project can really be run very well in school with the school opening in the coming months. And with easily children can access internet, ask doubts, teacher facilitation, refer to books in library. I think that this kind of project can really run great in the coming days.
Okay.
And I would say the feedback, as far as children feedback also we got was that this was maybe less time, 2 days where they really got engaged in so much that they really were wanting to do hard work. And one of the learning for me as a teacher has been that I always used to feel that children are not really doing enough work for the atlas. They're not doing the map work deeply. They're not analyzing it. But this time I realized that giving them purpose, after all in this case they had to think as a trader, as a traveler for themselves. So given a purpose, they really went in the depth of the things and they have used atlas in way more than meaningful ways than any time before. So this had really worked beautifully for me.
Okay.
Yeah, Rachita, would you like to add, please?
Yeah. So I think, as far as the children are concerned, whenever I was to ask the child about going from point A to point B, maybe how would the trader move around on the Silk Route, and typically the children used to just draw a straight line on the map and be like, okay, that's it. This is such a simple route. And I had to try and explain to them, no, that there are these geographical features which limit the mobility of the trader or the traveler, but they just wouldn't get it so quickly. So when we had this interdisciplinary project and they mapped for themselves what the physical features are on the map, then they could actually think like that trader and that person, and how they would have to keep changing their route based on that. So after that, it became much easier to explain the need for a sea route and why the Europeans would have actually tried to explore this route from Europe to India. And I'm not even talking about the political issues that would have led to that. Right now, only talking about how the geographical issues led to that. And for me, this was a great learning even for me, because this was the first time that we were doing an interdisciplinary project. And looking at how much fun the children had, looking at how much fun I had working with them, I feel I would love to do more and more such interdisciplinary projects in the future, because it just helps deepen the learning of the child of that concept.
And I would love to know more about these projects, definitely. And I want to congratulate both of you on the great work. Keep on doing such good works and keep on showing it to our children. Thank you, both of you, for being here, for giving your time, and for giving this perspective that projects works are actually important for all the schools and for the children especially. Thank you, ma'am.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you to all the children as well. You saw this program, and social studies, it's not about plain academics, plain studies. It's more about project work. So keep on watching our NCERT online resource material. We are here for you, coming with different subjects, different topics, and coming up next is webinar on ICT tools. Stay with us and take great care of yourself. Namaste.